All right, we are back. Welcome to Pass the Mic for Friday, May 19th, 2023. This is episode 71. Mike Pihoti here on Zoom. Joining me, Mr. Michael Gervasi.
When I'm rocking on the microphone, people gotta leave me alone because I really don't care. Really don't give a damn. My name is Bobby and not Uncle Sam.
I don't know. Is that Bobby Brown?
It is Bobby Brown. Not really hip hop.
Not New Edition. Is that Bobby Brown on his own?
Yep. Funny you should say
that. Is this setting you up later for your hot mic take or something?
No. That's what we talked about today.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you are the Bobby Brown now of New Edition, breaking up the Pass the Mic with your new
TikTok influencer. I made a new one. I made a new one today. Have you ever had JJ's Pizza in Wyandotte?
I have not.
That was the pizza featured at the concession stand in Wyandotte today for the. I'm just fresh off the track and field. Congratulations to Coach Halderman. Her boys were champions of the Downriver League, and Coach D'Angelo's girls finished third. But they had a pretty nice little touch: free 2 wristbands for each coach, which got you 2 free combo meals.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I went with the pizza from JJ's. Delicious. Did a TikTok review, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, here's the thing. I was thinking about this, and maybe some of the viewers that are New Edition fans could speak on this. When Bobby Brown left, New Edition brought a new guy in the group called Johnny Gill. Again, I'm sure you're not familiar with his work. But I actually think they got better.
Real? Oh, well, there you go. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know who's going to replace me. I don't know who maybe Rocco.
So my favorite R&B song of all time. Are you familiar with "Can You Stand the Rain" by New Edition? Man,
I mean, I might need to hear it. I don't know. I'm not a big New Edition guy.
All right. Okay. Well, Bobby Brown was gone at that point, and a lot of people will tell you. I mean, I would venture to say
who's saying "Cool It Now"?
Was that New Edition? That was the younger. Okay. That was Bobby Brown.
That's like when they were like little kids, right? Yes. That was like one of their first. I remember that one.
You sing it?
They were like, no, I'm not. You need a high pitch. That was like pre-puberty, I think, for those guys.
That's true.
Yeah. So, we had it. Let's take care of the elephant in the room. Not me leaving past the mic for TikTok, but we were off last week. Crazy week for both of us. I mean, combined, right? Like, I had 5 track meets over that last week between coaching and being a parent. You had an animal, a pet with some emergency medical issues.
Yeah, emergency. Dennis was. They said emergency surgery, or he wasn't the last month.
2 words you never want to hear with an animal.
With an animal,
I'd rather hear it with a person than an animal.
I would
for my wallet.
For your wallet, yes. I'm glad you explained that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that I mean, it really basically all of our nights just sort of filled up when you combine those both in, and all of a sudden the next thing we knew it was Thursday. It was also Teacher Appreciation Week.
It was. We're going to talk about that. I was actually mentally preparing myself for the NBA draft lottery last week too.
Yeah, so it was a busy week. It was a busy week, and I don't know. I don't want to steal away any of your thunder. I feel like you're like dropping hints of everything you want to talk about.
No,
but you're like,
okay, you're right. That's not Mike, but okay, all right.
But we did get some feedback. Tom Pack once again did a wonderful photo collage for the last episode that we did, which was discussing the AP tests. And I got to see Larry Williams over the course of one of those track meets and mentioned the video episode.
Yeah.
And he was so pleased. He's like, I can't believe you guys still think and talk about me. And I'm like, Larry, you don't even know. And he was so excited. And I sort of did give him a little bit of a hard time that he wasn't down there to remove that stray fan, I believe.
Yes.
Chris Pate was his name.
We're not mentioning his name anymore. Everybody is jealous of the Pates, and they're taking digs at us. Elizabeth didn't like she didn't like our Cult Classic choices that we didn't like.
The film, that's true. So I don't know. Maybe there's trouble in paradise, but
right.
But that was but it was good to see Larry, and then he talked about he's doing a great job working security at that next meet. So he was there, and he did a great job. So he felt very nice that he's a loyal listener as well. I believe I mentioned to him that hey, you're in this episode. So with that, it is time for you to give us a mic. It's been a while. So who is your mic of the week?
Yeah, so I am going with just in the spirit of the NBA Draft Lottery week, I'm going with the Mike that I remember was the biggest bust top pick with that name. Michael Olowokandi, 1998, number one overall pick to the Los Angeles Clippers, never panned out. I'm not rooting against Victor this year because that's not nice. He seems like a nice young man, but the way it played out,
you sort of want to see it implode for a team.
no, I mean, it just, man, it was like we didn't even make it to commercial, right? The Pistons, the number 5 pick, didn't even get to the commercial.
No, that was the last one before the commercial.
Yeah, and then it was like it happened so fast. They showed it, and it was like quick cut to commercial. They didn't even talk about how much of a fall that was for the Pistons, and it's just another story in Detroit sports lore here. The last 15, 20 years has been awful.
It is a rough stretch, So good, Mike. Sometimes the number one pick, for every time that it pans out great, sometimes you get those guys, and I think of like when the Zion sweepstakes, the big deal that was made about that, and you sort of look at it now, and it's sort of been underwhelming. You know what I mean?
When he plays, he's phenomenal, but he doesn't play, and you're right. This Victor, I don't know if you saw Adrian Wojnarowski made the comment. There are people within the NBA circles that have said this is the number one, not just NBA prospect in history, but the number one team sport athlete.
Whew, man, you're really putting yourself out there.
I'm not saying that.
Freezing cold takes on Twitter.
I'm not saying it, but I mean, a guy that's that tall going into the NBA with those kind of skills, it's beyond unique. I mean, it's never happened. So
we shall see. We shall see. So, yep. All right. Education topic this week. We sort of hinted at it. Last week was with all the craziness, it was Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, how much in really like the last 5, I would say like, since we got back from COVID, really, maybe there was a little bit before COVID. It's hard for me to always remember like when these things really started, but I almost think like once we returned from COVID, there's sort of like this built-in appreciation. I remember for a few months there, like educators were actually loved worldwide for a while,
right.
With doctors and nurses. And then we sort of got, hey, shut up and get back to work and get in your place. But the appreciation, over the years that came, that sort of we get now, we want to talk about that a little bit. I think that's what we want to talk about this week, and just how it's changed, and maybe give some shout outs and thanks about the way things went. So how did your week go, and how's it, like I said, this is your 25 for me, roughly what, 20 for you, or 19. Back in the day, there was nothing. Right? Like it was just a week. And then eventually the superintendent and the board office would send like a platter of cookies or a lunch, right? That was it.
Yeah.
And then it's gradually grown. And what are your thoughts on that?
So let me say, one thing Jessica Schultz, Mrs. Schultz, has been great about is trying to put the spotlight on us during this week,
Yep.
and this, we've worked, I mean, you would agree, and I think most people, we've worked for two very, very good people to work with in their own unique ways. This Jessica, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when she came in 15, 16, this was something she hit right away, her first year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's when the improvement really started. No offense against any previous bosses.
No.
I just think things change, that generations change and ways people do stuff changes.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, you're right, before, the early 2000s, it wasn't a thing at all. And she has made it a point. And so one of the things she does, I believe what happened was the time we took our kids down for advisory, they just wrote notes, to teachers,
who
walked away, and she had them write notes
and gave you that advisory off because they took your kids and told you, go do whatever you want for 30 minutes.
Do you. Yeah. So I like some of them, the kids, it's really tricky this week because I don't like that sort of, to me, it's like, we talk about Black History Month. Well, every month should be Black History Month, just like, and this is not about teachers. Anyway, I think we feel the need to be appreciated in all walks of life. I don't like a set time aside to do that. At the same time, when you get those notes from specific kids and they mention specific things, or I had, I think I could, Molly Federoff made me a video. Another student of mine, Leah Stith, made me a video and mentioned specific instances. Leah, in particular, mentioned something that happened 2 years ago during COVID. That you know, and it wasn't even like, to me it was nothing, but she specifically mentioned that, and it made me feel so good. So you know, it's you're pulled both ways, because on one hand you're like, okay, you know, that everybody kind of feels obligated, I don't need this. On the other hand, when you get certain things from certain kids, especially the ones that are a little bit older that remember things from their younger days, it really means a lot. I've kept those thank you notes in my drawer, you know, and that through the years are still in there, and every once in a while I'll go look at them, you know. So it's touching. It really is touching. And I have sought out a few students in particular and just said, hey, thank you. I needed that. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So it was pretty neat. I'm forever grateful for a lot of the kids I've had over the years. I feel like I always say, you know, I'm always learning, and I've learned a ton more, I think, in a lot of instances from them than I think they've learned from me. But it was something. So yeah, that's my take on last week.
Well, one thing I would say about it too is what's nice about our building is they sort of, we do it for like every employee. Like the secretaries are invited to lunch. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
don't, you know, I know like there were baskets, you know, students adopted staff members, and my own son Nate invited picked Miss Greer, Brenda Greer. So like, not, it wasn't just teachers just
Yeah.
getting
Right.
a
Right.
basket. Nate did a basket for Brenda, and she came up to see me the day the baskets were delivered, and she came into my office. And she's like, I just got to give you a hug. Nate wrote like a nice handwritten note in there, and she was like, you know, she said she was crying at her desk,
Wow.
you know, with the note, and the note had some things of, you know, Jen Butkin did a great job, I think, spearheading and organizing that. She's our main office secretary, sending out surveys of what people like. So then she was able to give all these people lists. So, you know, Nate knew to get, you know, this kind of drink, this kind of gift card or whatever. And it was done very nice. I know down to the shoemate too, like families adopt a certain teacher or staff member. So I think that's what's important too, is that it's well spread out. I think of like the like you said, the little things that you know, the movie day in the lounge. Joanne set up Chick-fil-A lunch through Brad Lunsford, who's in our Hall of Fame, and the, you know, the operating manager of the Allen Park Chick-fil-A. A little free plug there, but you know, well, you know, very well done. The local A&W giving hot dogs and coney dogs on Monday. I mean, like, I ate so awfully last week, not awfully bad tasting, but awfully for my health.
Yeah.
But it was delicious. And then of course the district providing the school lunch, the wraps, and that sort of thing. And then I, out of randomly, I had a student council member, Hallie Evans, who I'll give a shout out to, texted me a video message, just thanking me for like my influence with her on student council and leadership, and how she wants to be a teacher. Out of nowhere. And then, like I
Mhm.
said, the handwritten notes, the little things on cards, I still have the little jar on my desk, and added them into this year's group into there. And to me, those are the best gift. That's the best gift. The
Mhm.
Yeah, sure, of course, I love the little basket, and oh yeah, and then like the person that adopted me, Emily Petty, adopted me, and I got a basket both from admin and then from a student, and just she wrote a nice like handwritten card in there. And to me, that's always the best part. And
All right. So
I have thank yous in my desk. So I immediately, after I opened up that basket, hand wrote her a thank you card and delivered it to whatever hour she was in.
So I'm going to change my hot mic, because I was going to say this, but since you're talking about this, I think it'd be a
So
little.
you're doing your hot mic now?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to
Oh,
do this now.
oh,
I'm going
okay,
to really give a shout out to one student, but I'll do it now. I have plenty of hot mics. So I'm going to say this: Anthony Goforth.
okay. Know him
Um,
pretty well.
yeah,
And
he did the neatest thing. In fact, in a minute before we leave today, I'm going to pull it out. It's a crate that he painted himself, and on one end he put my favorite rapper Tupac Shakur, and on the other end a Detroit Pistons logo.
oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so I was going to say that, but since we're talking about this stuff, I thought it might be pertinent right now.
No,
So
that's fine. I mean, no, yeah, like I said, I don't want to miss any, but those people that did that stuff, that's great stuff in it. And like I said, I think just the notes and stuff like that. And you're right, it's the best feeling. And I think about today, a couple students came up to me because, you know, Hallie was off at Western setting up her college for secondary education, and some questions came her way, and she sent her friends to me to ask for advice on something because she wanted some input on a certain way that Western does things, and I did. And you know, it's just it means a lot, that especially for people that want to go into the profession, that and it's nice that individual people adopted, because, you know, everyone sort of has there's different staff members. Everyone has, there's with 1,130 kids, there's going to be some kids that slip through the cracks that you just don't know. Me more even so than because
Mhm.
I have my student council kids. I have an hour of leadership, some library kids, and I coach a little, but you have 5 sections, with 30 kids. I mean, you just see a lot more than I do. There's,
Right.
but everyone sort of gets a little something. I want to thank the community. I tweeted it out. I want to thank our administrators, the community, the parents group. There's a parent in there working tirelessly throughout the week, setting up the lounge, decorating the lounge for stuff, and I think it's really great. This time of year too, it's well deserved because May is just
Oh,
we're dragging. It's like the 2 mile. I think of the 2 mile in track at the meet, and we're in that lap 7 right now, and we're just trying to get to the finish line, which is June.
those annoying behaviors are just exacerbated so much this time of year. It's like
And
those.
and unfortunately, you have your good kids or even your other kids that are passing or doing well that are going to do well no matter what. But now you have a contingency of students that the numbers don't lie, as I like to say. So if you're sitting around 20%, 30%, and it's May 17th, May 18th, May 19th, the only thing you're going to be filling out is a summer school application, right? Like I'm not trying, right? Like, so
Oh yeah, for sure.
what's I'm not, that's just sadly the way it is. So you get this contingency that there's nothing to work for, right?
Right.
Right? Like it's unfortunate. So that you add that to this time of the year. But like I said, I was talking to Coach Amy Halderman. The good thing about May is it goes like that.
It
It is
is.
not it is not September, October, and November, which
Right.
drag
Yeah.
and drag. It is now May 17th. You get Memorial Day off too. So you really have one less day in there.
Yeah.
And once you hit that week, it's done. You're done. Like it's
Yeah.
it's amazing. So that's what's nice about me. So anything else you want to add about appreciation?
I just thank everybody, man.
Yep.
You did a very good job of that on Twitter there. Right.
Yep.
It's very nice. So grateful for that. And we have the staff luncheon to look forward to, just to kind
That's
of
true. That's
always
another
in the
well,
back pocket.
yeah. The student council, that used to be the other thing that we always had, and the student council would try to put it on this week, and then we realized, and no offense, but people have 3 different lunches. You really don't get a chance to interact, and
Right.
so we always bump that to the half day at the end. But so you got that going on. Also, the union, the GEA, provided everyone in our building with a $15 gift card for being a dues paying member in good standing. Now, not every teacher got that, but every member in good standing did
Yeah.
get that. So that was a nice touch as well. All right, overrated, underrated. Since Mother's Day just passed this the weekend we missed, right? Like I think, right? I thought we'd do overrated, underrated TV or movie moms. Okay. As I started writing these down, I started thinking the overrated for me was hard because I don't think that
Yeah.
that was harder for me than the underrated. Overrated for me is like because like I think most mom characters you find are I don't think they're overrated. I think they just do a good job in the role. So I have two that I just thought were, but that again, that's another point. My underrated was a little easier, but what do you got? Who's your overrated TV movie mom?
Man, this was so hard, and I really racked my brain. Um, and this has nothing to do with the awful things she said a couple of years ago. I'm going Roseanne. I do remember how, and again, we're gonna ignore, and we shouldn't. It was awful, but we're just talking
Yeah,
about.
well, you're talking about. Let's talk. You're talking about the act. You're talking about her character. We're not talking about her
Yes, yeah,
personal. So
and
that's
all.
not even listen. By the way, she's one of my 2 names. I totally agree, and we didn't
Really,
talk about this before. I just thought that the character. It was overrated. It wasn't. I thought Dan Connor was the better character of the two anyway.
yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
she's the working class mom, and like
uh,
all you could go is on your own anecdotal story, but I never saw my mom acting the way she did. So,
no,
nor any other mom I interacted with. So I just found that a little bizarre. I'm not sure why she got that label. And this is 80s and 90s, and I know it was a very popular show. But you're right. I thought her husband was wonderful on the show.
yep, and even her sister.
Yes.
Yeah, like I thought that character was a better character. I
Right.
just I didn't care for it. Didn't care for it at all. And then you throw in her character outside of it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. I thought overrated. I'll give you my other underrated is also Miss Brady. way back, even prior,
Oh
like the
wow,
Brady
yeah,
Bunch, because she always seemed to be like this is like, oh, this is the perfect, and I'm like, yeah, not really. I mean, I just didn't think it was that great of a character, not for the same reasons as Roseanne. I just think overrated. I mean, you know
yeah,
what? I think in that case, what's her name? The maid or whatever her name was the better uh mom like
Alice,
character in the show anyway. Like so,
Alice,
so
yeah.
Alice, yeah. So boom, you hit me with Roseanne. I agreed with you, and I put Miss Brady. But that was the hardest one for me because I kept thinking of like every movie and TV show, and I'd think of them, and I'd be like, no, that mom was pretty good. That was probably supposed to be. But those are the two that just sort of popped into my head. Overrated. Who's your underrated?
Okay, so let me lead into this a little bit. My friend Sean, who's the avid listener, he and I talk about this all the time. When you're younger, you have this impression of adults that they just have it all figured out, right? And you know, I don't know if intuitively you think that at a certain age they just hit this age and all of a sudden they become an adult. They just know everything. I think as adults we know we don't know anything, right?
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
just big
We
kids
just
now.
act. We just act like it.
Yes. So there was a show called Parenthood on NBC that ran from I want to say like 2010 to 2015, something like that. Very good show. Um, the mom on that show, and there was a few, but Christina Braverman was her name. Monica Potter. I don't know the movie that comes to mind about her. She was Robin Williams' love interest in the movie Patch Adams. But on this show, she was. I just thought that this was a more realistic portrayal of a mom, and she had actually there was one scene specifically. She beat cancer, but she to deal with the pain, she was smoking, and somebody asked her, "How do you have it all figured out?" She's like, "I'm going to be honest, I don't. I
Yeah,
just gave my kid candy to shut him up, you know."
that's
And
it.
it was
Yeah,
like the most honest moment of a mom. You don't know, and you're just constantly just trying and hoping you don't screw your kids up, right? And
yep.
I think she,
Toughest job in the world.
yeah, and I think she portrayed it so well. Um, to me that, and maybe it's a show. I don't know how popular it was. I watched it actually after, on demand. It's a wonderful show, but I'm going Monica Potter. If you ever get a chance, the show is really good. It was kind of a forerunner to. I know the show This Is Us was really popular. It kind of seamlessly NBC. Neither show has anything to do with each other, but they're very similar in their realistic portrayal of us as people, right? And I thought she was just amazing at that. So I'm going Monica Potter, apparently.
Nice. I got one that is my serious thought, and then I was like a little tongue-in-cheek second one. My first one that's serious, I was going back and forth between, and it's an animated mom. I was going back and forth between Marge Simpson, but I'm gonna top her out with Peggy Hill from King of the Hill. I
Okay.
think underrated. I think I just her care something about her character of sort of the way that she was sort of second in command until she had to be in command and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
wasn't afraid to roll up her sleeve. And I did like the sort of funny tongue-in-cheek substitute teacher that her character was. And then like she always was like the substitute teacher of the year, right? And then like one year this new substitute teacher, that was one of my favorite episodes ever. This new substitute teacher was like this
That one
new
I
hip,
didn't see, but yeah.
that
God,
was the whole storyline. Like this new hip teacher became one that was like vying for the substitute of the year award. But the character was just funny and well done. It's a really good show. That was that's one thing that our generation I think really lucked out with is that was our generation was the first to start experiencing that animation created for adults.
yeah,
Like prior to like my parents' generation, cartoons were cartoons, and that's
right.
what was for kids. And then somehow for our generation, it sort of changed. And people did some people. I mean, look at The Simpsons. It's how long it's running. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Like it's just amazing. And
It is amazing.
and I just think Peggy Hill, my tongue in cheek second one, and that I've mentioned this movie before, and this is gonna be a shout out to the Ren Dog, Miss Voorhees, Miss Voorhees from Friday the 13th, underrated. I mean, this woman put it all out there for her
Ah,
son. Poor son goes away to Camp Crystal Lake, drowns because these irresponsible teenagers, and she doesn't just go Karen mode and complain to the camp manager. No, she goes out, gets herself a machete, an axe, or whatever, hacks them all up. I mean, like this is 212 mom of the year. Okay. So definitely Miss Voorhees, very underrated. I know I've been down this road before with other things with movies and stuff, but I think extremely, I mean, that is I think there's like, I think there's like a meme going around like where like, it's like Miss Voorhees like hugging like Jason in a hockey mask, and she's like, "My little Jason's innocent. He wouldn't do anything." Like the tip, like poking fun at these moms of
Yeah.
kids who are obviously crazy and psycho. But my underrated mom, Miss Voorhees, very
Can we
tongue in
throw, you know
cheek.
what? And maybe this would be like, I'm just thinking of a couple, as you're saying this, you're going, the tongue in cheek one there, but like an honorable mention. I just thinking of a few. Elise Keaton from Family Ties.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really good, great
Um,
character.
I thought Claire Huxtable on the Cosby Show
Yep.
those were the really people, mothers that really had it all together and really. So we need this.
I want input. I know there's gonna be lots of people with
Yeah,
a lot of input, a
right.
lot of because there were a lot underrated. I was thinking of lots of shows. The overrated are the ones I'm like I would think of moms on shows. I'd be like, no, I actually like that one. And then there's the underrated. Just there's plenty of shows that are out there that I could think of that you know would fit in right there. So, all right, it is time for hot mic take. I'm dying to know what you have for us this week. So much has happened in your life and in your world. So, what do you
No,
got?
I like I said, I was going to go with, and I'll show this at the end. My Anthony and what he made for me, but I'm gonna. So I was, my brother turned 50, and I went to get a card. My hot mic is a PSA. We got to do something. Somebody's got to step in. The price of greeting cards is outrageous.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I won't
You know,
interrupt. I'll let you go.
go on.
There's a very you need to go to dollar stores for greeting cards.
Okay.
This is my wife's tip. You're absolutely right. If you're going to Meijer, Kroger, I mean, please. I mean, I can't even believe Hallmark's still a thing. I think there's one somewhere over in Trent.
It's a thing.
How I don't know. For the 1%, I guess.
I
Okay.
guess.
For the people on Grozil, maybe I don't know. But my wife's tip, and she's right. Go to the dollar store. It's
Are
there.
cards
Yes.
even
Are they?
necessary anymore? Like when you
I
get,
don't think. I don't think so. Like they want to talk about things to get rid of. The next generation below us, what are the millennials? Kill
yes,
those. You kill all these other things.
be
Kill
done with
greeting
it.
cards.
So listen, but here's what I did. So my brother turned 50. Man, the 50-year-old cards, $7.99,
Oh
$6.99.
my
I couldn't
goodness.
stomach it. So you know
Those are
what
the
I
only
did?
people. Those are the only people that have that kind of money. The boomers.
So I got him a 40-year-old one because it was $3.99.
There you
I
go.
crossed
That's
the
right.
40 out and I put a Sharpie of 50. He thought it was funny. But I did that. So
Do
yes,
are the 21-year-old cards like a 99 cents? Because
I
all
didn't
these four.
I didn't look.
No, but in all honesty, I bet we'll get a lot of listeners, especially the moms, and because this is but the problem is sometimes here's where where stores get me. I don't want to make the extra stop, so I'm doing my
Exactly.
grocery shopping and I suck it
Yes.
up, and I just get and I was proud of myself. So my wife's birthday is May 10th, which if you're not a doofus and you can figure out the calendar, is either very close to Mother's Day every year, and in some years is Mother's Day. So the good news about that is that whenever I buy her birthday cards, which is usually a week before, I also get the Mother's Day card then because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get this done and knock this out. I was at Meijer on Mother's Day Sunday morning, and I had all my stuff because I already did. I had my cards. I was good. The group of men up and down the month throwing elbows. We are the worst. We are the absolute worst. And I'm like, the only thing that saves me from that embarrassment is that my wife's birthday is the 10th. And I know that, okay, I got to buy her Mother's Day card around May 1st or May 2nd. And, but you're right. I usually just suck it up and buy it. If I know, and if I have time and if my wife says, hey, go get cards, I'll go to the dollar store right here in Rockwood. And you can get like sometimes two cards for $1. And people don't notice. Do you ever
No.
I mean, I'll read
Nobody
it and then I'm
cares.
like,
So listen, I was talking to the guy at Kroger. I wish I knew his name. He's the coolest guy.
the
And
flower guy?
no, I know him,
Okay.
Tom.
Okay. Tommy. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I want to make sure we gave. Well, we'll give Tommy a shout out. He just had his busiest weekend, Mother's Day. But go ahead.
it's not Tommy. Another guy. He's a little bit older. He's probably our age. He him and his wife have an arrangement. They just keep reusing the card.
Nice. Hey,
I think that's great.
that's environmentally friendly too. For all
Absolutely.
you
They just
greens
keep
out
giving it
there.
back and forth to each other. So I thought that was a
Nice.
great idea.
Nice.
So there it is.
Yeah, I would love to hear people's input, but dollar stores, that's my tips. Cards are outrageously, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Way too expensive. All right. I got a couple different notes here. I think I want to go with I'll save my one that's more fresh. That was just from yesterday. So these days, these last couple weeks, what is your you have central air, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is your threshold for turning on? Now today it's very cool.
Right.
This we're recording on the 17th. It's actually quite chilly. It's cold at my track. I got a hoodie on.
Was.
But there were some days earlier, like last week we had those pop days back in April. What is usually your threshold for clicking on the air? Like, what do you wait to see what your thermostat says in the house? Are you a window open guy? What have you had your air on at all yet in 23?
Okay, so full disclosure, I opened my window the other day. The cat tore the screen and jumped out.
Yes, the cat that we just had emergency surgery on.
He knows we're talking about it right now because he's
yeah.
I cannot bring myself to turn the air on if it's like under 75 degrees outside.
Okay.
It's like psychologically, I can't do it.
So a couple of these days in the last week, it was like 78, 70. We didn't really hit any. There might have been an 80. It was a little muggy one day too. Have you had it on over that little stretch?
I turned it on one night, and it was weird because it was probably below 75 at that point. But my kids came over and they were like complaining about the weather, the temperature in the house. So I turned it on probably for about 10 minutes to bring it down a little bit, but I couldn't do it, man. Like because I feel like feasibly you could have turned the heat on a day before.
I get it. And here's my deal. My wife has very bad allergies. I do too, but not bad to the point that she doesn't ever want the windows open. As a matter of fact, the screens in our bedroom, one like buckled, so she just took them both out because these are never opening. Like it will never happen. And so like on some of those days where it's 76, 77, 78, like if the internal temperature starts getting up because I can't have any windows open, like if it starts getting, I would say like we can stomach 74, but once the internal house starts getting to like 75, 76, it has to go on. And so, and I used to like fight it. I used to be that guy. And then like I realized like I would even be uncomfortable in bed. And I'm like, I worked too hard and I just put in this I paid for this system. I go, I'm going to use it now. It may not be the most environmental thing in the world, and I don't keep it at a crazy temperature. For the record, it's at 73, which I think is a pretty reasonable temperature. Like I'm not one of these unless I'm in a hotel, then that sucker's like at 66. But my own house, like 73, maybe 72 if it's like a really, but I use it reasonably. What's also nice is on this new upgraded system, it's on an app on my phone. So if everyone's gone during the day, like if I know it's going to be like a warm day that's coming up, I'll go to work. She'll go to work, and then all of a sudden, like I'll look and if it starts getting up to 76 around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, which normally happens, I'll kick it on at that point. There's no need to run it at 73 from 8 a.m. on. So that is a nice feature. I do, and again, I may be wrong. I don't know the industry that well. I do know that once we get into the solid hot months of the summer, they do say you're better off just keeping it on at 73 instead of like turning it off in the day. Then you let the house get up to whatever. Then you turn it, because some people, I just need to be comfortable at night. From what I hear, I think if you run it consistently and keep it at a cool temperature, you're paying more that if the house gets up to like 78, 79, and then all of a sudden, okay, I need, so I'm not sure. Maybe someone in the industry can correct us, but I'm just curious what people's thoughts are. Downriver and Friends, it's always a common thing on there. Hey, who turned their air on? And you got random people that are like, I never turned my air on. Well, I'm like, well, then why did you even buy it? Like, why even have it? They get mad at DTE. And then you got other people that are like, it could be like 70 out and I got it on at 66 in here. So I kind of believe I'm somewhere in the middle. I wish I could have my windows open more often, but that was like when I was living at Eastern, like my window would be open. I love having windows open, but happy life, happy wife. So I got to make sure that happens. So, all right, that's it for this week. We're back. First, again, we want to apologize to everyone. That was a crazy week. No, we're not going anywhere. I know you're to wrap up. What do you want to wrap up? I think you want to show us the GIF from
give me 1 second.
Anthony. I'll give you that while you're finding the GIF. This little impromptu stuff. I know that coming back, I do want to give a shout out to the Ren Dog for giving me updates. I did not get to see the Buccos downtown. They lost game 1 last night on Tuesday night. They were victorious today. It looks like the Buccos beat them pretty easily, 8-0, I believe was the score.
Yeah.
And the Carlson marching band played the national anthem. I heard he sent me a picture. Yes, I had no idea.
I knew they were going, but I didn't know
they were on the field playing the national anthem.
Wow!
So shout out to the maestro and the Carlson marching band, and to the Buccos for winning today. What do you got for us?
All right, so Anthony Goforth. So this is what he wrote. Painted by Anthony Goforth.
Nice.
And there's the one side. You look at the work he did
Oh,
there.
look at that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Oh,
Tupac.
yeah. The other side.
Oh, look at that. The Pistons logo.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
sharp.
I was thinking that this might bring in some good luck.
And that did not bring good luck. So they're the 5th pick, the worst place they could be.
Worst place they could be.
Detroit again suffers a tough loss. The Tigers are hinting around 500.
Jeez, man.
We're showing off the surgery. The good news is here we are down to just a few weeks left. We're less than a month away from our last day. Track season's wrapping up, so we could probably get in the studio back next week. So we'll be in Studio B. We do want to set up. We said we have a in the works, and we might as well give it away a little bit. In the works, we were going to wait till track season's over, so we're getting to that point. Our recently retired last year, Miss Brenda Bechtel and Miss Dee Fountain, the best business teacher duo in the state of Michigan, along with Scope. Scope, was, of course, it was a triumphant. We're gonna have them on for an episode where they're gonna discuss retirement. What's it like? What's it like when you get to that point? You apply and get those pension checks. I've interacted with them when Scope's daughter got married. Brenda's doing a little bit of work. Her daughter's at track meets. I see them. It'll be great to hear I'm sure for those of us that are getting close, it's gonna be a great interview, I think.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're two hardest working people I've ever been around.
Oh, my goodness. Their lesson plans whenever I subbed, they'd be like, oh, and I don't have to sub that often, but they'd be like, oh, Bechtel's out. I take either one of them. Their sub plans were better than my real plans back when I was in the classroom. Right. I'm not kidding. No, and probably better than most teachers' real plans.
Yes. Everything they did was that thorough. They were amazing.
I mean, this binder, like if you couldn't handle subbing for those two, that should have been like a test for like someone that just got out of teaching.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're going to sub for one of these 2 rooms. If you implode there, then you're like, yeah, you know what? Get lost. This profession's not for you. So, So that's going to be a fun episode coming up. I think I want to try to do a setup in episode 2 because Chloe's been bugging me about this. I think we need to do an episode with Chloe and Nadia Popoulos, 2 of our graduates from last year. One went to U of M Ann Arbor and one went to Ohio State.
Okay.
And just to see how their first year went, how they felt prepared leaving Carlson High School. I think that'd be a great episode, and we can tie in the Ohio State U of M typical rivalry as well.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right.
All right. Well, hey, everybody have a great week. We will see you back next week. No more weeks off.